Hey YouTube, welcome back. Digging Deeper episode 3. We're talking about water. As promised, if I make any mistakes or screw anything up, I'm going to talk about it so that you don't have to take the same or make the same mistakes as I do. So we screwed up big with our water. Nobody got sick, nobody's dead, it's okay. But I know if you're storing water, and you're storing it for like long-term use as an emergency backup, you need to treat that water. My wife asked, hey, do we need to treat the water? And I'm like, nah, I don't think so, because we're going through one of these per week, so we're cycling through it quick enough. It shouldn't be a problem. Well, it was a problem. So we'll back up to the beginning. In our efforts to save money, we went to a local farm supply place. It's not even really local, it's a chain, and we ordered 4 barrels. They said they had them in stock. We had a truck full that day. We said, hey, it's going to be a couple of days till we get back to town. Can we go ahead and pay and pick them up? They're like, yeah. Well, they had 3. Those 3. That one and those 2 over there. Now, when we went and picked them up, it was downpour raining. We threw them in the truck. Angry because they didn't have the 4th one that their computer said they have. We had to wait like almost 2 weeks for that one to come in. So by this time now, we've got the water pump. While I was setting up the water pump, my wife and daughter, Tia, ran down to fill these up. Once again, if you don't remember, it's several miles that way. It's over near that hill where we have to go to get them filled. Not a big deal. We pay them some money, tell them how much we need, we fill them up, come back. Hook it up, everything's great. 4th barrel comes in, cool. Now we've got that. Happy days. 2 days ago, my wife's like taking a drink of water from the barrel, and it would have actually been this one that we had hooked up at the time. And she's like, ugh, it tastes gross. The barrel stunk. Had an odor to it. So did that one. Crap. Well, first of all, these 3 barrels I don't believe were new. So that was our first mistake. They had a little bit of water in them. We kind of just hurriedly dumped the water out and went and filled them because we were in a hurry to get running water. We were almost a month without it. So take the time and inspect things. If you get looking down in that one, I don't know if we're going to be able to see it, but it's not super clean down there. In fact, it looks worse on the camera than what it really is. I just noticed. But so I think those actually had been used. Whatever. We should have sanitized them first. We didn't. Now, the treatment, I'm not an expert. Please don't take my word for it, but I'll tell you what I found. I did plenty of digging and decided to use the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. However, everybody pretty much has the same thing, which this barrel, it had an odor. We hadn't hooked it up yet. We did today, but I stopped today and got some bleach, calculated it, 1/8 of a cup into a barrel if it's already clean potable water. You could probably even do a little bit less. So 1/8 of a cup, it's nothing. That smelled like bleach for a few minutes, and then that smell dissipated. And now the water tastes fine, it smells fine. We're good to go. So from now on, what we're going to be doing is treating all of the water. So the barrel that we had, since right now Tia's up in Idaho, it's only the 2 of us, that barrel just lasted us 9 days, I think. 8 or 9 days. So once we hit about that week mark is where it started to smell. So, I guess common sense says if Sitting here, gets a lot of direct sun in the evening, as you can tell. So that's just a haven for algae and stuff. So treat your water always. If it's going to be stored for anything longer than a couple of days, treat it. So that is now going to be our default routine. Is we're going to put about 1/8 of a cup of bleach into each barrel when we go down there and fill it with water. That way it's all mixed in, it's good to go, everything else. And then we'll figure out the measurements for our little ones, because we do still take those and fill them. Sometimes we just fill them out of the barrel. But we kind of like using those for different things. So in any case, that's the water situation. Treat your water. It is too important to let that go. Nobody got sick, but that's because my wife tasted the water. If it had been me, I probably wouldn't have noticed until it was too late, because I'm not as in tune with these things as she is. So luckily she did that. But treat them. When you get barrels, sanitize them. The CDC also has a formula for that. It's stronger bleach, but I mean, it's still like, I think it's like 1/8 of a cup. Oh, wait, no. It's a tablespoon per liter of water, I think is what it was. But anyway, get some in there with water, swish it around real good, roll them around, let it sit for a few minutes, dump it out, rinse them. That way you know that what you're filling up is clean, instead of being in a hurry like we were and just assumed that they were good. That was a terrible, terrible mistake, and I will own up to it. Please do not make that mistake yourself. While we're talking about water, you should be storing water. We never used barrels before. We just had cases of bottled water and some gallon jugs. But you should always have water stored, and cycle through it. So with our cases of water, we always grabbed the old one. We always had a case of water in the truck with us. When that got empty, we'd pull another one out of the pantry and go buy one to replace it in the pantry. That water, by the way, we had a vehicle once. We were on a road trip, and the vehicle overheated, and we used that bottled water to get us back on the road, and we made it back home just fine. So having water is always, always, always a good idea. The dogs, by the way, are just going nuts. So that's what I have. Keep water with you at all times. Keep it in your house. Make sure you have plenty, because you have to have it. It's just, it's one of those things. And if there is some type of emergency or crisis, you don't have to run out and get any. And if it's a larger, widespread thing, you're not fighting anyone else to get it. You already have it. So you're good to go. It's just a perfect thing. But definitely sanitize your barrels and treat your water. We're using bleach. I know there's other ways to treat it, but bleach is pretty cheap, and it does work. It's very effective. On that, I used to work in the chemical industry, so I do know this. You can verify this if you want. You can contact Clorox or any of them. They will tell you the same thing. Bleach degrades. If it's in the sun, if it's in heat, and even if not, if it's kept in really good temperature conditions, about 6 months, bleach starts to degrade. The active chlorine gets weaker and weaker very quickly. Eventually it just becomes like a salt. And with heat, even more so. So I used to do commercial dishwashers. They could be a maximum temperature of 140 for a certain type. Another type could be 150. And the reason why is it's spraying a bleach solution on those dishes to sanitize them right at the end. And if it's too hot, the bleach has basically evaporated or flashed out. There's no active chlorine to actually kill the bacteria. Other dishwashers run at a higher temperature and they use the heat, 180-degree water to sanitize. So that's just it. So if you are storing for long term, strongly recommend every 6 months or so, cycle through that water. Go ahead and use it for something and refill it with new treated water with bleach, because the chlorine that's in there is going to degrade and it's no good. And you could get algae forming. Store in a cool, dark place helps it to stay longer, so a pantry or a cellar or something like that, or a garage, as long as you don't have direct sun coming in there all the time. So just some tips on water. Stay safe. Don't get sick. The last thing anyone needs is to think that you're good to go because you have water, and next thing you know, you're dying of dysentery or something like that. So we don't want that. Everybody out there, be good to each other. Like, comment, subscribe. And we're going to do a little panoramic view. See how bright that sun is. Very bright as we go by. Cool. We'll see you next time.